everyone. Welcome to the American Sports Connection. I'm your host, the one and only Joey Railroads. Now, before I bring my special guest in for this evening, don't forget to follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at ASC Pods. You can find our entire catalog on B Plus Player Radio. Find them on Twitter at B Plus Radio. And check out our sponsors over at Too Sweet Magazine. Find them on Twitter at 2TOO Sweet Mag. All right, my special guest for this evening, he is the guy that does stuff and things for Synergy Wrestling, Mr. Colin West. Colin, how are you, sir?
You know, I've added a couple more things to the resume.
Okay.
Whatnot. I officially do stuff and things and whatnot. So there's a lot.
We're moving up.
Yeah, moving up in the world, right?
Yeah, because that's a new one, so you must be doing some big things.
No, I'm still real boring, dude. I'm still real boring. It's just living the dream. Living the dream. But we do have, honestly, I like to say that I'm just the dude behind the scenes who kind of helps put things together. It's the boys and girls on the roster that do all the work. It's my business partners that do all the business. I just get to do the creative stuff, and that is the best job in the world.
Totally. It's I always say it's like a big family, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's Thanksgiving time, so, you know, we're all, you know, at some point going to hate our family. What? I mean, love. Love and stuff and things and whatnot. I meant love.
Yeah,
sure.
I'll go with that. It's funny you mention that because I'll probably only see my mom and my son for Thanksgiving.
Hey, keep it tight. Keep it tight. Keep it right.
There you go, man. But speaking of Thanksgiving, you and Synergy Wrestling have a big event coming up 2 days after Thanksgiving called Black Saturday.
My dude, you know how to segue. I appreciate that. Threw Thanksgiving out there so you could segue, and you segued, and God, get on the railroad. Watch it like just hum into the station. That's why I come on here. I love it. But yeah, Black Saturday, 2 days after Thanksgiving, from the VFW in Manville, one of the most historic buildings in the tri-state for pro wrestling. And I wanted to over-deliver with this one, and my partners over at Funkenstein wanted to over-deliver with this one, and I feel like we did. This is easily the biggest show we've put on, and I'm thrilled about it.
I mean, you're going to have a WWE Hall of Famer there hanging out, signing autographs, and J.J. Dillon.
I love this. Like I was saying to somebody yesterday, like everybody's got their mark out, you know, in this business. Everybody's got that person or those people that they just go a little nuts for. And you can ask anybody. When I was a little kid watching wrestling, like everybody wanted to be Shawn Michaels or Brett, or they wanted to be Steve Austin or whoever. I wanted to be Bobby Heenan. I wanted to be JJ. I wanted to be Paul Heyman, you know, that was, I wanted to manage. I wanted to be, you know, one of these badass heel managers with a little bit of an edge to him. And JJ was one of the first to do that job brilliantly, you know. I mean, come on, dude managed the original Four Horsemen, and you have to be a guy, you know what I'm saying, to manage those four.
I was going to say, man, because like the talent that oozes out of that is just...
I mean, yeah, insane. Tully and Ole and Arn and Rick, and if you're going to manage those four guys, you better be legit. And JJ was always legitimate. And when Gimmick Tree reached out and said, hey, you know, we've got JJ Dillon available for the evening, it was a no-brainer for me. So it's, as an old school guy who loves his NWA, and it was a no-brainer for us. Absolute no-brainer for us, and we're thrilled to have him.
That's awesome. I'm really excited for that because, like you said, that's an old school vibe and brings you back to your childhood.
Well, I mean, most of us. Most of us. There are people who are like, J.J. Dillon. Is that Jeff Jarrett? I'm like, you're 17. Shut up. Read a book.
Now, I'm going to roll through this card with you and get your thoughts.
Yeah.
We have here, and I figured we would start off with this, and it's and you coined this in the picture, a very weird triple threat with Aaron Bradley, Matthews, and Officer Dan O'Hare.
Well, here's the drilly drill. This is a very weird triple threat, but it's three guys who are a little bit desperate. Dan O'Hare has been here once. He won a match, but by dubious circumstances, and hasn't really caught traction and been back since. This new Officer Dan O'Hare, this big scare, Sergeant Scare thing he's doing is real entertaining. And he's kind of found his footing in the last couple of months. I mean, worked a very important match over at another promotion with Matt Tremont a couple months ago, and I think he's really, found himself. And wanted to bring him back and give him another shot to show out. Sage Matthews had what a lot of people are saying was his breakout performance at our last event versus Joe Gacy, but he didn't win that match. So at some point, and people say the same thing about Aaron Bradley, he is consistently the most impressive guy that didn't win on our Synergy shows. But at some point, being impressive in defeat counts for absolutely nothing. And I'm watching all three of these guys, and I'll be perfectly honest, as the guy who kind of pulls some of the strings backstage, who performs well and who manages to win is of significant interest to me.
Yeah, what is it? You can only get the participation trophy so much.
Well, not in this day and age. They'll give you those forever. It's garbage.
Well, I mean,
Serious.
Under your roof, that's different.
Yeah, but there are no participation trophies. You win or you go home. It's exactly like the NCAA's. It's March Madness. It's not one and done, but you got to perform. You really do. You got to come through here. We keep a very small roster. We got to keep a very tight roster, and we do that on purpose. It's not because we're cheap, and it's not because whatever. It's because we consider spots on our roster sacred. We consider them important, and we want to feature everyone that we have here, and you got to consistently earn that spot.
It makes sense. I'm looking forward to this one, this triple threat. Moving along, we talked about this off air. I want to see who this is. You're bringing in the Icon Magic going one-on-one with a mystery opponent.
Ooh, it's a mystery. But this is the thing that I was just talking about. Magic, if you're not familiar with Magic, just celebrated his 35th anniversary in the pro wrestling business. And we're all about two things. One, show and prove, and two, good vibes. And for 35 years, Magic has been all of that. I mean, JAP Original has had a hand in training so much of the talent in the tri-state area. Right now, most notably, the longest reigning Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions ever, LAX, owe a great deal of their training to Magic. And just a guy that is good to have around, and has said very kindly, with no ego, hey, if you guys ever have a spot for me, I'd love to be a part. And so here he is. We have an opponent lined up for Magic, and people will find out November 24th.
So that's why you got to be there.
See, this guy knows. This guy knows. I will say that it is someone who Synergy fans, whether he's been here before or not, it is not going to be someone that is unfamiliar to people and to our fan base. It is not going to be someone that people go, who? Whose yard did you drag him out of? It is. We're not. Surprises here at Synergy are not small potatoes. You will know, and it will matter.
That's awesome. All right, well let's keep it going here. This match intrigues me because It's two guys that think very highly of themselves, with Too Hot Steve Scott going one-on-one with the Delster, Mike Dell.
Yeah, and this is what I find interesting about Steve Scott and Mike Dell. And again, I had another guy who we like a lot, John Corrigan, over at the Wrestling Estate, ask me yesterday why this match. They don't really have any heat with each other, why they don't seem to have any. And the thing of it is, if you watched what's been going on with Dell and with Steve Scott lately, not just here but everywhere, these are two guys who have a reputation and a history of having a very chill persona, of just kind of Steve Scott having a good time and having a lot of fun. Meanwhile, Mike Dell being very cool, calm, and collected as he handles his business. But over the last couple of months, these two have just kind of, if you've watched them, really started to snap off and started to kind of show a more aggressive side and be a little bit kind of surprisingly unhinged at moments. And look, if I sound like a jerk and kind of a sadistic person saying that I wanted to put these guys in a match and see who snaps first, then you'd be right. I am kind of a jerk and a sadistic person. So that's really all this was. I wanted to see what would happen if I put two guys who were kind of teetering on the brink of going a little crazy together and just see what happens.
I'm personally looking forward to it because, like you just said, these guys are kind of getting close to snapping, and well, they both really, like I said, have think of themselves highly. I guess you would say fans would think so. It should be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is. I mean, another thing. These are two guys who have been around for a minute, and both think that they should be a little bit higher on the pecking order when it comes to wrestling in general as a business.
I agree.
And at some point, unfortunately, the nature of the beast is you got to put those guys in the ring and let one of them just, I mean, not really, but figuratively, you got to see who the bigger fish is.
Yeah.
And you got to see who gets eaten.
No, it totally makes sense. All right. Next, we have a match that's finally going to settle this score once and for all, where we have Frightmare and Drake Chambers in a ladder match.
And there's nothing hanging from the ceiling here. There's nothing, like, there's no briefcase, and there's no championship, and there's no contract.
Yeah, I was going to say no contract. This is
right.
Just a personal...
And you say, why have a ladder match? And it's like, these are, it's very simple. These are two of the best flyers in this area, and both of them want very desperately to be done with the other one. You know, Frightmare thought this was done already. He won a dog collar match, which you could see for free on Synergy social media, especially Facebook. Just went up on the 15th, whenever this will come out. So check that out. And he thought this was done. But Drake Chambers can't forget, just can't seem to let go of all of the, I mean, really just filthy stuff that Frightmare put him through for a couple of months. I mean, Frightmare was downright despicable to Chambers for a while, and won the right to have one more match, and he called this one out. Wanted Frightmare in a ladder match, and there's nothing at the top of the ladder. He just wants to be able to use ladders for brutality, for pain, for punishment, and we were happy to oblige. So one way or another, I fully expect this one to be over, and everyone can move on, and it can be settled. Because this one's been going on for, Frightmare and Drake Chambers has been going on for about 11, 12 months now, about a full year. And hopefully we'll finally settle this.
And, we could finally find out who's the top dog, so to speak.
Possibly. Very possibly. I mean, I think that, a match like this has a way of proving which guy wants it more.
Yeah, that's fair. Another one that I'm really intrigued about that, you have some issues with is Brandon Kirk meeting Jimmy Lloyd in a chairs match, but Steve Monster Mac, is going to be the special guest enforcer for that one.
Don't forget the monster, my friend. Don't do it. But I will say this.
You heard me.
I will say this. Nobody, and I've let my emotions with the Brandon Kirk situation kind of cloud what I've done a little bit. And not in the way of I haven't been, a bad boss. I haven't screwed with the system. But nobody comes to see wrestling shows to see me. It comes to see the owner or the promoter or the booker or whatever. And I've let myself get too involved. And so me putting Monster Mac at ringside as the special enforcer is me saying, you know what, I need to remove myself. If Brandon Kirk wants to be a bad citizen, if he wants to act like a grade A douchebag, somebody else can physically deal with that better than I can, because he's not going to respect me or authority or anything that I have to say. So Monster Mac is going to preside over this one. Jimmy Lloyd is probably Brandon Kirk's greatest nemesis in pro wrestling. And just give him a stack of chairs. If you didn't see what happened again at another promotion last weekend, Lloyd threw a chair in Kirk's face, and Kirk ended up getting a huge hematoma over his eye and whatever. And so it was kind of kismet, kind of fortuitous, and it kind of foreshadowed the kind of punishment these two are going to put each other through. There is so much reckless abandon when it comes to Kirk and Lloyd. There's so much reckless abandon. They act first and ask questions later every single time. This one's going to get violent in a hurry.
Yeah, and they have such a disdain for each other, so it should be very interesting.
Indeed.
All right, moving right along, we have the Synergy World Heavyweight Champion, the Bulldozer, Matt Tremont, defending his title against the retrosexual himself, Anthony Green.
And this is one of the few matches that you can look at and say, you know what, the fans actually really like both these guys. So what do we do putting them in the ring with each other? It was a matter of Anthony Green being the #1 contender. He's undefeated since he got here. He just beat Matt Stryker in September at our year 1 anniversary. And so the only two guys undefeated in Synergy with more than 2 appearances that are left are Tremont and AG. And so here we go. There can only be one. There can only be one undefeated guy left. There can only be one guy who can stake the claim to the top of the mountain. And if the fans have to choose between the two of them as to who they're going to root louder for, or if they're going to root for them both, so be it. We'll have a popular champion after November 24th. But AG earned the opportunity to get here. He's on the ride of his life. I firmly believe that 2019 will be the year of retro in professional wrestling. I think that AG is poised to have a huge year.
I agree with that. He was just on Global Wars recently.
Absolutely, and got one of the biggest reactions of the night, unannounced. So it's a matter of looking at the guys who are at the top of the industry right now. Matt Tremont's been there for a number of years. Anthony Green is getting there now. And they're fighting over a championship that I like to think is quickly becoming established as one of the more important titles in the business.
I agree with that. And your main event, well, I shouldn't say main event, but,
it will close the show. As of right now, it is scheduled to close the show, so you can go ahead and say it. Sure.
All right. We have Impact Wrestling Hall of Famer, the Monster Abyss, going one-on-one with KTB.
I'm taking zero credit for this match. We had a couple of guys in mind for Abyss when I made that phone call. And I got on the phone with Abyss, which, by the way, is very intimidating.
He's a huge man.
Let's not pretend that I'm some sort of big badass promoter. let's not pretend any promoter is a big badass promoter. You get on the phone with a guy the size of Abyss, and it's yes sir, yes sir, no, yes sir, no sir, But Abyss said to me, "Does KTB work for you?" This is a true story, and I said yes, and he said, "I want him."
That's interesting.
It's more than interesting. He called his shot. And there's a little bit of both going on. One, it's a matter of respect. Abyss respects KTB. KTB respects Abyss. But, by the same token, I think Abyss sees KTB as a new beast on the block, saying he's the baddest beast in the woods. And Abyss says, nah, I may be in the Hall of Fame, I may be a little bit older, but I'm still the monster. And I will continue to be that. And you heard, and he dropped us a video at Synergy Pro Wrestling on Facebook and Twitter, and said very clearly that he was going to feast on the beast. And I'm just going to ring the bell and get the hell out of the way.
He wants to remind everybody why he's still the top big guy out there.
Yeah, but I think KTB can make an argument. I really do. And if, again, it's like we've said before about other matches on this show, if KTB wants to stake his claim to that title, to that crown, to the future best big man, baddest beast in the business, this is one of those tests he's got to go through. This is one of these monsters he has to slay. So we will see how this goes, because it's going to say a lot. It's going to say a lot for where KTB is, not just in this industry, but in Synergy. It's going to say a lot for what Abyss still has in the tank. I'm very excited for it.
I couldn't agree more with you. Now, how can people get tickets to the show for next Saturday?
I will be behind the ShopRite. There'll be a dumpster if you make a left. I'm kidding. None of this is real. I have a weird sense of humor. You can go to Synergy Wrestling, SYNERGY Wrestling.com, and click through on any one of a number of pages to get your tickets for Black Saturday. There are still front row VIPs available for $30, and that $30 ticket comes with a free signed 8x10 by the Monster Abyss. So you're not just paying extra to sit up front. We like to reward people who buy front row tickets in advance, and this is a pretty sweet deal, because you'd be spending at least $30 on a regular ticket and an 8x10 from Abyss anyway. So why not just get a front row and handle everything right now up front? But you can also get your GA tickets. There's not a ton of front rows left. They've sold pretty swiftly, and we're very happy about the crowd that we're estimating will be there on the 24th, but there are tickets still available.
That's awesome. Now, if they want to contact you or Synergy on their social media platforms, how would they go and do so? Don't.
I'm very busy. So you can contact me at Colin West on Facebook. Very easy to do so. Also, synergywrestling@gmail.com. And across all forms of social media that you can think of, Synergy Pro Wrestling is at Synergy Wrestle on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
See, that's easy enough to find people.
Yeah, it's branding. Name branding.
Absolutely. I had to learn that myself.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
All right. Well, before we head out, I just wanted to thank you for taking the time and chatting me up about the show this next Saturday.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, Mike. Joey, Mike. Sorry, whatever. This will all come out in post. I'll Hogan it. Well, let me tell you, brother. You're doing more for me than we are doing for you. And I say this to anybody who conducts interviews or does podcasts or has a blog or a website. You guys are the conduit that gets us and our word out there to the fan base, and that lets the fan base tell us what they want. So I appreciate you a whole hell of a lot. Thank you.
No problem, man. So we're going to end it on that note. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, give it a thumbs up, all of that good stuff, and we'll see you back next time. Have a good night, everybody.